Hey everybody, Pierre Quinn here, and I teach leaders how to courageously begin the journey to personal and professional transformation. And in this video, I want to talk to you about how the inspiration that you need just might be found in a book that you've never read. So, let's go. Now, before we jump deeper into this video, be sure to hit the subscribe button so that you can be the first to know when I release a new video. Now, some of us may have never heard of Umberto Eco. Umberto was an Italian philosopher and writer who had amassed a huge collection of books. At the time of his death, between his two residences, it is noted that Umberto had collected over 50,000 books. That's right, 50,000 books. I don't know if my wife will ever let me have a book collection that gets that large, but I'll probably keep collecting books until the day I die. Umberto believed in the value of surrounding yourself with more books than you could ever read in your lifetime. Why? One of the reasons is that Umberto believed that having a huge collection of books kept you intellectually humble. Even if you were smart, even if you were gifted, even if you were talented and knowledgeable, that huge collection of books reminded you that there was a lot more that you could learn. Another reason that having a huge collection of books was big for Umberto is that he believed this collection kept you hungry. It kept you in the intellectual pursuit. It kept reminding you that there was another page to turn and there was more information out there for the taking. My collection isn't that big, but lining my shelves are several titles that I haven't even cracked the page on. And one of them is very, very, very important to me. The book is entitled Winnie the Pooh on Management by Roger E. Allen. Now, I've never read Winnie the Pooh on Management. I read the back cover, but I haven't read the book. I stumbled upon this book at a pivotal time in my life. It was when I was trying to muster up the courage to write my first book, Leading While Green: How Emerging Leaders Can Ripen into Effective Leaders. As I started the writing process, I began to get frustrated and have feelings of doubt. Who would read my book? I was a nobody. I hadn't accomplished much. I wasn't verified on Twitter. You know, all the crazy thoughts just start rolling through your head. So I would go to bookstores and look for courage or confirmation that I could actually do this. And that's when I stumbled upon the book Winnie the Pooh on Management. The title seemed to jump out at me because it seemed so ridiculous. I mean, when I think of Winnie the Pooh, I don't think of any management principles. I think 100 Acre Woods. I think Christopher Robin. I think about that song, Wiggly Siggly Tickle, Winnie the Pooh. I mean, you've heard the song and you know exactly what I'm talking about. But that's one of the reasons why it jumped out at me, because it seemed to be such a huge contradiction. Winnie the Pooh? Management? So I picked up the book, and the book served as a reminder for me that things like this are possible. So here's how I leveraged the book that I didn't read. Number one, I reminded myself that this book was probably a silly thought in the author's mind long before it was put down on paper. I love to brainstorm. I'm an ideator, and I have tons of ideas that flood my mind, usually 24 hours a day. And a lot of these ideas seem silly to me. They seem far-fetched. I store these ideas in apps, notebooks, and Post-it notes, but some I just let fly by because they seem so crazy. I wonder what caused Roger to take this crazy idea of merging a popular cartoon character and a principle like management. This book was a reminder that it's okay to have silly ideas. The second way I leveraged Winnie the Pooh on Management is that I reminded myself that Roger was probably rejected. Now, if you go the traditional book publishing route, you'll hear stories of people who've experienced tons and tons and tons and tons and tons of rejections. I wonder how people responded when the query letter for Winnie the Pooh on Management came across their desk. But despite the possibility of rejection, despite the possibility of other people seeing this as foolish, Roger was willing to keep going. Here's the third way I leveraged Winnie the Pooh on management. I was reminded that there is a possibility that I could have a transformative impact on somebody I'd never met, but I needed to write the book to do that. Yeah, people probably called Roger silly. They probably called the idea outlandish, and they probably thought that it wasn't possible. But if Roger wasn't willing to face all of that, then there would have never been an opportunity for me to stumble through the bookstore one day and find the inspiration that I needed in the story of a bear who learned management principles, but in a story that I've never read. What book have you read and you walked away ready to change the world? Or what book sits on your shelf as a reminder of what's possible? And every time you see this book, you get a little bit more hope, you get a little bit more courage, you get a little bit more inspiration. Better yet, what's the book that you need to write? What's the title? What's the idea that seems outlandish, that people will most likely push back on, but has the possibility to inspire a person that you've never met?